In a village nestled among rolling hills and whispering trees, there lived a young boy named AaliZil. He wasn't just any boy. He was the heart of the village, known for his bravery, his kindness, and a curiosity that shone as brightly as the morning sun. The villagers adored him. Whenever someone needed help, AaliZil was there, his spirit unflinching, his courage a comforting presence. He was the boy who never seemed to get scared. But one night, everything changed. A shadow fell over the peaceful village. A shadow that wasn't cast by the setting sun. Fear crept in on silent feet. As darkness blanketed the land, strange sounds began to echo through the quiet streets. Doors would creak and swing open on their own, untouched by any hand. Shadows, long and distorted, would dart across walls like frightened creatures. And then came the whispers, scary, disembodied voices that slithered out of the darkness, carrying tales of dread. Panic spread like wildfire. The villagers, once so full of laughter, now huddled in their homes, their faces pale with terror. They believed fear-spreading jinns had invaded their peaceful sanctuary. The nights, once a time for rest and quiet dreams, became a long, waking nightmare. Children cried themselves to sleep, their small bodies trembling. The elders, their faces etched with worry, spent their nights in prayer, their voices a low murmur against the rising tide of fear. The joyful hum of village life was replaced by an oppressive, heavy silence. The village that once laughed now held its breath, waiting for the next scare. AaliZil saw the fear reflected in everyone's eyes. It was a deep, consuming dread that stole the light from their faces. It pained him to see his friends and neighbors, the people he loved. A deep sadness settled in his heart, but alongside it, a powerful resolve began to grow. He looked at the shuttered windows and the deserted paths and made a promise to himself and to his home. "I will not let fear control my village," he declared, his voice firm with a conviction that defied the terror around him. He knew he had to do something. Fear had taken their laughter, their peace, and their sleep. AaliZil was determined to take it all back. That very night, as the last sliver of the sun disappeared behind the hills, AaliZil made his move. He took a small, simple lantern from his home, its single flame flickering like a captured star. With the lantern held steady in his hand, he walked out into the chilling darkness. His destination was the old forest, a place of tangled roots and ancient trees, the very source from where the menacing shadows seemed to emerge. The village was silent behind him, every door bolted, every window dark. He was alone, but not entirely. The full moon, a silent silver guardian, followed his path, casting a gentle glow on the trail ahead. The wind, which had carried whispers of fear before, now seemed to whisper his name, a soft, encouraging sound. He entered the forest, the trees closing in around him like tall, dark sentinels. The air grew colder. Every snap of a twig, every rustle of a leaf sounded amplified in the profound quiet. He walked deeper and deeper, his small lantern carving a small circle of light in the immense darkness. And then they appeared. From behind the ancient trees, dark figures began to materialize. They were tall and menacing, their forms shifting and swirling like smoke. Their eyes glowed with a malevolent, fiery light, and when they spoke, their voices were deep and gravelly, a sound that seemed to claw at the air. "Go back, boy," one of the jinns growled, its voice a terrifying rumble. "This village belongs to fear now. There is no place for you here," another jinn hissed, its voice like scraping stones. "We feed on their terror. We thrive in their sleepless nights. You are just one boy. What can you do against us?" The figures moved closer, their shadowy forms looming over him, their glowing eyes fixed on his small frame. They expected him to run, to scream, to join the chorus of fear that echoed from the village. But AaliZil didn't move. He stood his ground, his heart beating a steady rhythm in his chest. He looked at the terrifying figures, not with fear but with a calm, unwavering gaze. He remembered the words his grandfather had often shared with him, words of wisdom passed down through generations: light, courage, and truth. His grandfather used to say, "Are the three things that can defeat any darkness." Holding on to that wisdom, AaliZil stood strong. "Fear is only strong when people believe in it," he replied, his voice clear and steady, cutting through the menacing growls of the Jinzi. He wasn't just speaking to them, he was reminding himself of the truth he held in his heart. With a deep breath, he lifted the small lantern high above his head. As he did, a strange thing happened. The tiny flame inside the glass began to flicker and grow. It pulsed with a newfound energy, expanding beyond its confines. The light grew brighter and brighter and brighter still, until it was no longer just a small flame, but a brilliant, radiant sphere of warmth and light. The golden glow poured out from the lantern, flooding the dark forest. It chased away the deep shadows that clung to the trees and the ground. It lit up the gnarled branches and the hidden hollows, leaving no corner for darkness to hide. The Jinns, who had been so confident and menacing just moments before, recoiled as if struck. They shielded their glowing eyes and let out piercing screams of agony. The warm, courageous light was unbearable to them. The light. It burns. One shrieked. The shadows that made up their bodies started to waver and thin, dissolving like smoke in a strong wind. "We cannot stay where Karas lives," another shouted, its voice filled with panic and pain. One by one, the fear-spreading Jinns vanished. They were consumed by the brilliant light, fading back into the deep darkness from whence they came, their terrifying screams echoing until they were no more. They were defeated, not by a weapon or a spell, but by the simple, powerful courage of one young boy and his small lantern. The forest, which had been a place of terror, became quiet and still once more. The oppressive coldness was gone, replaced by the gentle warmth of the lantern's glow. AaliZil stood for a moment in the peaceful silence, the light shining all around him. The moon seemed to smile down from above. He had faced the darkness, and he had won. When the first rays of morning sun touched the village, they revealed a sight that hadn't been seen in many nights. The world was peaceful. The birds were singing their cheerful morning songs in the trees. The doors of the houses stayed still and silent, no longer creaking on their own. The scary shadows were gone. The fear that had held the village in its icy grip had finally melted away. That night, for the first time in what felt like an eternity, everyone had slept soundly. There were no strange noises, no whispering voices, no terrifying nightmares. There was only calm, deep, and peaceful rest. AaliZil walked back from the forest as the village was waking up. He was tired, but his heart was full. As he entered the main path, people began to emerge from their homes. They saw him, and a wave of relief and joy washed over them. Soon, the entire village had gathered around him. There were smiles on every face, and tears of happiness glistened in many eyes. "You saved us, AaliZil," an elder Sahib, placing a grateful hand on his shoulder. "The fear is gone. You drove the Jinns away." A child shouted with glee. They lifted him onto their shoulders, cheering his name, hailing him as their hero. AaliZil smiled, a gentle, humble smile. He looked at all the happy faces around him, the faces of his friends and family, now free from the grip of terror. "No," he said softly, his voice carrying over the joyful crowd. "I didn't do it alone. We defeated fear together." He explained that it was their collective hope and his belief in their strength that gave him the courage to face the darkness. From that day forward, peace reigned in the village. The laughter returned, louder and more joyful than ever before. The nights were once again a time for peaceful dreams. And AaliZil, the boy with the lantern, was forever remembered. Not just as a hero who chased away the darkness, but as the one who taught them all that the greatest light is the courage we find within ourselves and in each other. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales of courage and hope. See you next time.